It was a hot afternoon in the city. The buses were crowded, and people looked tired. Some stood silently, while others leaned on poles, waiting for their stop. The sun burned through the windows, and the air smelled like sweat and dust. Arjun sat near the middle of the bus, holding his old bag close. He had just finished a long shift at the factory. His shirt was soaked with sweat. His eyes felt heavy. He wanted nothing more than to close his eyes and rest for a while. He looked out the window, watching the world pass by. Honking cars, fast bikes, people rushing. Life in the city never stopped. The bus stopped again with a jerk. More people pushed in. That's when she entered. A young woman, maybe in her late 20s. She wore a loose dress, her hands gently resting on her round belly. She looked tired and worried. She held the metal pole tightly as the bus moved again. No one stood to give her a seat. Some people looked away. Others pretended not to see. Arjun noticed her. She looked at him, just for a second, and then looked down. Without thinking, Arjun stood up. "Please, sit here," he said softly. The woman looked up in surprise. "Are you sure?" He nodded with a kind smile. "Yes. You need it more than I do." She slowly sat down and whispered, "Thank you." The bus moved forward. People glanced at them. Some smiled at Arjun. Others didn't care. Arjun stood beside her now, holding the same pole she had held. Everything seemed normal, until the woman suddenly looked around, her eyes wide. She gripped the seat tightly. Then, in a loud voice, she said, this man just saved my life." Everyone turned. The bus driver looked back in the mirror. A child stopped crying. An old man leaned forward. People stared in silence. Arjun blinked. What? He didn't understand. The woman stood up slowly. Her hands were shaking. She looked at him again. "You don't know it yet," she said in a calm but serious voice. "But what you just did, it changed everything." "What are you talking about?" Arjun asked, confused and nervous. People whispered around them. "Is this a joke? Saved her life? How?" Arjun felt everyone's eyes on him. His heart started beating faster. The woman looked toward the back of the bus. Then she leaned close to Arjun and whispered something that made his skin crawl. "Get off at the next stop. Don't ask questions. Just trust me." "What?" he whispered. "Please," she said. "If you stay on this bus, something bad will happen. You're in danger." Arjun looked into her eyes. She didn't look crazy. She looked scared and serious. The next stop was just ahead. The bus slowed down. Arjun didn't know what was happening. He didn't know who she was, but something inside him told him to listen. As the bus stopped, he stepped off. The woman followed him. The doors closed behind them. The bus pulled away. Arjun turned to her. "What is going on?" She looked at him with eyes full of fear. "You were sitting in the wrong seat," she said. "That seat was meant for someone else, but you took it. And because of that, you changed the plan." "What plan?" She didn't answer. Instead, she looked behind him, and her face went pale. "They're coming," she said. "We need to hide." Arjun turned around. A man in a black jacket stood across the street staring at them. He had something in his hand, and he was walking toward them. "Who is he?" Arjun asked. "Come with me," she said. She grabbed his hand and pulled him into a narrow alley. Arjun didn't know her name, he didn't know the danger, but something had started. Something that would change both their lives, forever. Arjun followed the strange woman through the narrow alley. His heart was beating fast. His legs felt weak, but he kept moving. He didn't know why he trusted her. But the fear in her eyes was real. They turned left, then right, passing closed shops and quiet streets. Finally, she stopped near a small tea stall. The place looked empty. The sign above the door was broken. "This way," she said, pushing open a back door. Inside, it was dark and quiet. Old chairs, a broken fridge, dust everywhere. They sat down behind a curtain in the corner. Arjun looked at her. Okay, now tell me what's going on. She took a deep breath. My name is Mira. I'm not pregnant. Arjun stared. What? I wore a fake belly. I had to look weak, harmless. Why? She leaned closer. Because someone is trying to kill me. And now? You're part of it. Arjun felt cold. Why would anyone want to kill you? Mira pulled something from her bag, a small notebook, full of names and notes. I used to work for a private security group. We were hired to find corrupt officials, people who steal money, hurt others, or plan dangerous things in secret. She pointed to a name in the notebook. One of them found out I had proof against him. Since that day, I've been running. Arjun looked at the notebook, confused. But what does this have to do with me? She looked at him seriously. They were going to attack someone sitting in your seat. I found out their plan by accident. I didn't know who the target was. I only knew the seat number, so I wore the fake belly, hoping someone would offer me the seat. And I did, Arjun said slowly. Yes, and because of that, you saved yourself. Arjun leaned back. This is crazy. I know, she said, but look at this. She handed him a small paper with a drawing. It showed the inside of a bus. The seat. Numbers were written. One seat was circled in red, the one Arjun had been sitting in. They planted something under that seat, she whispered. I heard two men talking at the station this morning. They said it would go off when the bus reached the next major stop. Arjun's eyes widened. So you stopped it? I changed the plan, she said. I took the seat, and then I made a scene. They got confused. I think one of them followed us, but he didn't act. Arjun remembered the man in the black jacket. He saw us get off, Arjun said. Yes, that's why we have to keep moving. But first I need your help. My help? Arjun asked. I'm just a normal guy. I work at a factory. I don't know anything about this stuff. Mira looked at him with gentle eyes. You helped a stranger without thinking. That makes you stronger than you know. Arjun didn't know what to say. A knock came at the front of the tea shop. Both of them froze. Mira put a finger to her lips. Another knock. Then a voice. Tea, please, she sighed. It's just a customer. Arjun laughed nervously. This feels like a movie. It's not, she said. It's real, and it's dangerous. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Arjun asked, What now? Mira looked at her watch. We have 5 hours before they try again. But this time, I'll stop them completely. I just need to reach a man named Ajay. He works in a media office. He can help us expose the plan. Arjun nodded slowly. He still didn't fully understand the danger. But he knew one thing. He couldn't walk away now. Not after what he'd seen. Not after what she'd done. Okay, he said. Let's do it together. Mira smiled. Good. We start tonight. Outside, the sun was going down, but the real darkness was just beginning. Night had fallen. The city lights blinked like stars on the ground. Cars rushed by, and the sound of horns filled the air. But inside the small tea shop, everything was still. Arjun and Mira sat behind the curtain, planning their next move. We'll take the metro to the city center, Mira said. Ajay's office is there. He's the only person I trust. Arjun nodded slowly. His head still felt heavy. Just a few hours ago, he was on a bus, tired from work. Now he was hiding from men who wanted to kill them. Why does Ajay matter? He asked. He's a reporter, Mira said. One of the best. If we give him the proof, he can go public. Once it's out, they can't hide anymore. Arjun looked at the small flash drive she held. All the proof is in there? Yes. Emails, bank records, photos, everything. They waited until the streets became quieter. Then they stepped outside. Mira had changed clothes. She wore a cap and a long scarf. Arjun wore his factory jacket, trying to look as normal as possible. The walk to the metro station was quiet. Too quiet. Every sound made Arjun turn his head. Every passing stranger made his heart beat faster. Then he saw him, a man, sitting alone. On a bench near the station. Black jacket, dark glasses, still, silent, and staring right at them. Mira saw him too. She didn't stop walking, but she whispered, "He's one of them." Arjun tried not to look. "Keep walking," she said. "Don't run. Don't look back." They walked past the man. Arjun could feel the man's eyes on his back, but the man didn't move. Not yet. Inside the metro station, it was cooler. A few people waited near the platform. A train arrived with a loud screech. They stepped in. Arjun looked out the window just before the doors closed. The man in the black jacket was still outside, watching. "He didn't follow us," Arjun said. Mira shook her head. "No, he's not alone. Someone else is probably on this train." Arjun looked around the compartment. Most people looked normal. Some were tired workers. Some were students. But then, there was another man, sitting in the corner, reading a newspaper, but holding it, upside down. Arjun leaned close to Mira. "The man in the corner. He's watching us." Mira nodded. "Get ready. We're getting off at the next stop." "But the office is 5 stops away." "They know where we're going," she said. "We have to change plans." The train slowed down. Ding doors opened. They rushed out and ran toward the stairs. Behind them, footsteps followed. Arjun looked back. The man with the newspaper was running too. "This way!" Mira shouted, turning sharply. They ran through the exit gate and into a narrow side street. A market was closing for the night. They ducked between stalls and behind a truck. The footsteps behind them stopped. Silence, then a sound. Footsteps walking away. Mira peeked out. "He's gone," she said. They sat down behind the truck, breathing hard. Arjun wiped sweat from his face. "This is too much." The clock struck midnight. The city had gone quiet. Shops were closed. Lights were dim. Only a few cars passed on the road. But Arjun and Mira kept walking, their steps light, their eyes sharp. They were heading to a small abandoned warehouse near the river. It was dark, cold, and smelled of old wood and oil, but it was safe. For now. Mira looked at her phone. "Ajay will meet us here. He said he'd come alone." Arjun looked around. "What if they followed us again?" Mira shook her head. "They didn't see us leave the metro, and I turned off the phone after sending the message." Still, Arjun felt uneasy. Too much had happened in one day. He had left for work like any normal day, and now he was hiding from men with weapons. They stepped inside the warehouse. Mira lit a small flashlight. "Over here," she said. They sat behind a stack of wooden crates. Mira placed the flash drive carefully in her bag. Her hands trembled, just a little. "You okay?" Arjun asked. "I'm tired," she said. "But we're close. Once Ajay gets the drive, he can go live with the story. After that, they can't touch us." Arjun looked outside the broken window. The street was empty, but then headlights. A car stopped outside. Mira stood quickly. "That's Ajay." She walked to the door and opened it just a little. A man stepped out of the car. He was tall, with a long coat and a satchel. He looked left, then right. Then he walked toward the door. Mira smiled and opened it wider. "Ajay!" But something was wrong. He didn't smile back. Arjun saw it too. Ajay's face was pale. His eyes looked scared. When he reached the door, he whispered, "They know. They followed me. I didn't mean to. But they found out." Mira froze. "What?" "I'm sorry," he said. "You have to run. Now." Suddenly, bang! A gunshot echoed. Glass shattered. AJ fell to the ground, crying out in pain. "Get down!" Mira screamed. Arjun pulled her back as 2 more shots hit the wall behind them. They crawled behind the crates. Mira pulled out a small pepper spray and a flashlight with a stun feature. "I only have this," she said. Arjun looked around. He grabbed a long metal rod from the floor. "It'll do." Footsteps entered the warehouse. Slow. Careful. "We know you're here," a deep voice called out. "Give us the drive. No one else needs to get hurt," Arjun whispered. "What do we do?" "We split," Mira said. "You take the drive. Go through the back door. I'll distract them." "No, I'm not leaving you." Mira looked at him with calm eyes. "You have to. The truth is in that drive. If they get it, everything is lost." Arjun didn't want to leave her, but he saw the fear and strength in her eyes. He nodded. She placed the flash drive in his pocket. "Run when—" "I count to 3. She stood up slowly and shouted, "I'm here!" A loud noise followed as she threw a crate down to make a distraction. Arjun ran. He dashed through the back door, through mud and garbage, his breath loud in his ears. Behind him, more gunshots. He didn't stop. He ran toward the street and into an alley, then hid behind a dumpster. He pulled out the flash drive, so small, so simple, but it held everything. Suddenly, a voice behind him, "Don't move." Arjun turned slowly. A man in black. Gun in hand. "You've made it very difficult for us, boy." Arjun's heart stopped. But before the man could say anything else, thud. Something hit him from behind. He fell, and Mira stood there, holding the metal rod. Arjun couldn't believe it. "You're okay?" She nodded, out of breath. "They didn't expect me to fight back, but I had to find you." They looked at each other. Tired, bruised, scared, but alive. "We still have the drive," Arjun said. "And we still have a chance," Mira replied. But they knew the real battle was just beginning. The city was asleep. Arjun and Mira walked through quiet streets, staying in the shadows. Every step was heavy. Every sound made them turn. They didn't know who was watching. But they knew one thing. Time was running out. They reached a small printing shop at the end of an old street. The shutters were half down. A light was on. Inside. "This place belongs to a friend of Ajay," Mira said. "He's safe. We can use his computer to send the files." Arjun nodded. He had the flash drive tightly in his hand. He hadn't let go of it since they escaped the warehouse. Inside, the shop smelled of ink and paper. A young man with glasses greeted them. "You're Mira?" he asked. "Yes. We don't have much time." He locked the door and pulled down the shutter. Then he pointed to a computer at the back. Arjun sat down and plugged in the flash drive. The files opened, images, emails, maps, bank statements. He looked at Mira. "This is huge." She nodded. "This shows how some powerful men have been using public money for weapons, secret deals, silent threats. They even tried to remove anyone who found out the truth." "And now you have the proof," the man with glasses said. "Once we upload this to the media network, everyone will know." Mira smiled. "Let's do it." The man began uploading the files. Arjun watched the loading bar move slowly. 30%, 47%, 61%. Mira kept looking at the door. "We have to be fast. They could find us any minute." Suddenly, the screen flashed red. Upload failed. "What happened?" Arjun asked. The man tried. Again. "Someone is blocking it." Mira's eyes widened. "They're jamming the network. They knew we'd try to upload this." The man thought for a second. "Wait. I can use an old radio satellite system. It's slow, but they can't." "Block it!" He ran to the back room. Mira looked at Arjun. "We're so close." "I still don't understand one thing," Arjun said. "Why were they trying to kill a random person on a bus? Why plant a bomb under that seat?" Mira looked serious. "Because someone important was supposed to sit there. A whistleblower. He changed plans last minute. But the attackers didn't know. Arjun's mouth fell open. So the attack was planned to silence him? Yes. They thought removing one man would keep their secret safe. But now, they're after us, he said. They're scared, Mira said softly. They should be. The man returned with a small satellite dish and connected it to the system. Okay, he said. It's working, slowly, but working. Outside, a loud bang. Someone was trying to break the door. They're here, Arjun said. Mira grabbed a heavy stick. We have to hold them off for a few minutes. The upload bar moved. 72%. 83%. The door shook again. Another bang. Arjun helped. Push a table in front of the door. Then, crash! The front glass broke. A hand reached through. Get back! Mira shouted, hitting the arm with the stick. They backed away. Two men climbed in, faces covered. We just want the drive, one of them shouted. Arjun shouted back, You're too late! 6%. The men rushed forward, the man with glasses. Threw ink bottles at them. Mira fought back with the stick. One man pushed Arjun to the floor, grabbing for the flash drive. Arjun kicked him hard. No! Then, ding, upload complete. The screen flashed. Files sent to National Media Network. It was done. The men stopped. They looked at the screen, then at Mira. You've ruined everything, one hissed. She smiled. No, I've saved everything. Police sirens wailed in the distance. The attackers ran. Arjun sat on the floor, breathing hard. It's over? He asked. Mira sat beside him. No, it's just beginning. But now, the world knows the truth. The man with glasses smiled. You too. Just changed everything. And outside, the city slowly began to wake up, not knowing that everything had just changed. Morning came. Sunlight touched the tops of the buildings. The sky was orange and soft. The city woke up slowly. Shops opened, tea stalls steamed, birds flew across the streets. But this morning was different. Something had changed. Every television screen, every phone, every news site was showing the same headline. Secret scandal exposed. Proof of government corruption and planned murders revealed. People stopped in the streets to watch. Workers paused at tea stalls to read newspapers. Students showed their phones to friends. Taxi drivers turned up the radio. One name kept coming up again and again. Mira Sharma. She's the one who exposed everything. She had proof of everything. Emails, money trails, names. And they tried to kill her. The people were shocked, angry, but also proud. One brave woman had risked everything to speak the truth, and another name started spreading too. Arjun, the Sai, man who gave up his seat to a pregnant woman. The man who stayed and helped. He's the reason she lived. Mira and Arjun sat in a small hotel room, watching the news on an old TV. Reporters were outside the media office, shouting. Questions. Famous news anchors were holding up the flash drive like it was a treasure. Protesters gathered outside government buildings, holding signs and chanting, "We want justice! Truth will not be silenced!" Mira wiped a tear from her eye. "We did it," she whispered. Arjun looked at her. "You did it? I just gave up my seat," she smiled. "That seat changed everything." The door knocked softly. It was Ajay, limping, with a bandage on his arm, but smiling. "They didn't stop it," he said. "It's everywhere now. International news picked it up too. You've started a wave." Arjun looked nervous. "What happens now?" Ajay sat down. "Now, the government is under pressure. Some of the men named in the files have already resigned. A few are running away, but the people won't stop." Mira's eyes were filled with fire. "We can't stop either. We keep going. We make sure no one buries this again." AJ nodded. "The media wants to talk to both of you. Interviews, live shows, everything." "I'm not sure I'm ready for that," Arjun said quietly. Ajay smiled. You don't need to speak much. Just be there. You are the reason this happened. Later that day, Meera and Arjun sat in a news studio. The lights were bright. Cameras pointed at them. A soft voice said, "You're live in 3, 2, 1. The anchor smiled at the camera. Tonight, we speak to two heroes, ordinary people who did something extraordinary. She turned to. 2 weeks later, the city was no longer the same. People had woken up. They were watching, questioning, and speaking out. News reporters still covered the scandal every day. Protests had grown bigger, and those responsible for the corruption, many, were now behind bars. But it had come at a cost. Meera had received many threats. She changed hotels every night. Some of her friends had stopped talking to her out of fear. And Ajay had to leave the city for his safety. But she never gave up, because the truth was stronger than fear. Arjun, too, had changed. He still worked at the same office, still took the same metro train. But now people looked at him differently. Some nodded at him with respect. Some smiled and said, "Thank you." He didn't know how to feel about it. He had never wanted fame. All he had done was offer his seat. But he couldn't deny the truth, that one small act had started everything. One. "Evening," Meera called Arjun. "They're holding a public hearing tomorrow," she said. "A judge is reading the full report. The people named will be present. They want me to speak." Arjun was quiet. "Are you ready?" She took a deep breath. "No, but I have to do it." "I'll be there," Arjun said. The next day, the courtroom was full. Cameras were set up. Journalists sat with pens ready. People stood outside with banners. "We stand with the truth. Justice for the people." Meera walked in wearing a simple white kurta. She looked calm, but her eyes were sharp. Arjun sat in the back row watching. The judge called her to the front. "Miss Meera Sharma," he said, "you may speak." Meera stood tall. She spoke slowly in clear, simple English. "I'm not a hero. I'm just a reporter. I searched for the truth and I found it. But what shocked me more was how far the powerful would go to hide it. They planted bombs. They paid off police. They tried to kill." People in the courtroom listened closely. "I'm alive because a stranger offered me his seat. I lived because of kindness. And that kindness helped me reveal the truth. We cannot be silent anymore. If we want a better world, we must protect the truth, no matter what it costs." The courtroom was silent. Then, soft claps. Then, louder, until the whole room stood, clapping for her. The judge nodded. "Thank you, Miss Sharma. Your words will be remembered." After the hearing, Meera walked outside. Cameras flashed. Reporters asked questions. But she looked past them, searching, and then she saw him, Arjun. He stood quietly near the gate, holding a small bouquet of flowers. She smiled. "You came." He gave her the flowers. "You didn't just speak, you roared." She laughed. "And you? Still riding the metro?" He nodded. "Yeah. Still standing up when needed." They stood there in silence for a moment. Then Meera said, "You know, I've been thinking. Maybe we should write this story together." Arjun looked surprised. "Me? You saw it all. You lived it too. And people like you, your voice matters." He smiled. "Okay, but only if we keep the title honest." Meera tilted her head. "What title?" he said softly. "The seat that changed everything." They both laughed. Later, that evening, they sat at a cafe with 2 cups of chai between them. The world outside was still loud, still messy, but in that little moment, there was peace. And far away, in another city, someone sat down in a crowded bus and stood up to offer their seat to a tired woman, because kindness travels and truth, once spoken, can never be silenced.